Section 46 of the American Book of the Dog. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Michelle Fry, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The American Book of the Dog, G.O. Shields, editor, Section 46. The Toy Spaniels by Miss Marion E. Bannister. The origin of the King Charles and Blenheim Spaniels is obscure, and beyond the fact that, as claimed by some writers, they came from Spain, little is known concerning it. King Charles II first rendered them popular in England by the care and attention he gave to the breeding and rearing of good specimens. Dr. Keynes writes of them as follows, quote, "Of the delicate, neat, and pretty kind of doggies called the spaniel gentle, or the comforter in Latin malatius or fater. These doggies are little, pretty, proper, and fine, and sought for to satisfy the delicateness of dainty dames and wanton women's wills. Instruments of folly for them to play and dally withal, to trifle away the treasure of time. These puppies, the smaller they be, the more pleasure they provoke, as more meet playfellows for mincing mistresses to bear in their bosoms." According to the good doctor, the superstitious people of the Middle Ages, even in enlightened England, believed that these little dogs possessed curative powers. On this subject he writes, quote, "We find that these little doggies are good to assuage the sickness of the stomach, being oftentimes thereunto applied as a plaster preservative, or borne in the bosom of the diseased and weak person, which effect is performed by their moderate heat. Moreover, the disease and sickness changeth his place, and entereth, though it not be precisely marked, into the doggy, which experience can testify. For these kind of doggies sometimes fall sick, and sometimes die, without any harm outwardly enforced, which is an argument that the disease of the gentleman or gentlewoman, or owner whatsoever, entereth into the doggy by the operation of heat intermingled and infected." Sir William Jardine, in the Naturalist's Library, 1843, speaks of the King Charles Spaniel as a beautiful breed, in general black and white, and presumed to be the parent of the Cocker, who is usually black and shorter in the back than the Spaniel. The Blenheim, Marlborough, or Pyram of Buffoon is very similar to the above, but the black color is relieved by fire-colored spots above the eyes, and the same on the breast and feet. The muzzle is fuller and the back rather short. The Maltese dog, Canis malitius, the Bichon or Chien Buffet of Buffoon, is the most ancient of all the small spaniel races, being figured on Roman monuments and noticed by Strabo. The muzzle is rounder, the hair very long, silky, and usually white, the stature very small, and only fit for ladies' lapdogs. John Scott writes, 1830, in the Sportsman's Repository, quote, 20 years ago, i.e., 1800, His Grace the Duke of Marlborough was reputed to possess the smallest and best breed of cockers in Britain. They were invariably red and white, with very long ears, short noses, and black eyes." Still another writer claims that at least the King Charles type first came from Japan. Robert Fortune, who traveled in that country in the 17th century, says, quote, "The lapdogs of the country (Japan) are highly prized, both by natives and foreigners. They are small, some of them not more than 9 or 10 inches in length. They are remarkable for snub noses and sunken eyes, and are certainly more curious than beautiful. They are carefully bred and command high prices, even among the Japanese, and are dwarfed, it is said, by the use of sake, a spirit to which their owners are particularly partial." Commenting on this statement, Idstone says, quote, "I have seen several of these Japanese lapdogs. Some have been publicly exhibited, and others have been shown to me by gentlemen who imported them from that country. I recollect seeing 2 very beautiful specimens brought home by Mr. Clogstone of Winburn, Dorsetshire. These, both of them, had large, prominent eyes of the King Charles type, so that the sunken eye named by Fortune was a misnomer, and were only deficient in ear. Their color was pale yellow and white, and the coat was silky. The noses of those I saw were very short, but the skull was not so round as the London breeder would desire, yet showing a tendency to the spherical formation which is a mark of the race. In corroboration of my statement, I will give Sir Rutherford Alcock's own words. Quote, "I am to find a pair of well-bred Japanese dogs with eyes like saucers, no nose, the tongue hanging out at the side, too large for the mouth, white and tan if possible, and 2 years old." End quote. He goes on to say, "My dogs are chosen, a species of Charles II's Spaniel intensified, and by the by there is so much genuine likeness that I think it probable that Merry Monarch was indebted to his marriage with a Portuguese princess for the original race of Spaniels, as well as her dower of Bombay." End quote. There is another reason for believing that the King Charles was imported from Japan. There is a vulgar belief that the Spaniel may be dwarfed in size by giving it gin, and possibly the supposed secret of producing lap dogs in Japan, the administration of sake, was brought over by the importer of dogs. These ignorant ideas are always traceable, and if the conformation of the King Charles and Japanese is so close, and the means of dwarfing them coincides in both countries, or rather is supposed to dwarf them, for it does not, and the dogs are not referable to the same stock, it is a very singular coincidence." End quote. Thus it will be seen that whatever the origin of the King Charles and Blenheim, they have led a somewhat checkered career, though both have at times been called by other names, and have occasionally waned in popularity. They are both ancient, and have maintained their existence in the canine world against frequent neglect on the part of the public, coming down to this more appreciative and dog-loving age in a remarkable state of purity, all things considered. Still, we have cause to regret deeply that these beautiful animals are not more popular today than they are. They are far more intelligent, affectionate, and beautiful than many of the other breeds that are so extensively sought after and cultivated as ladies' pets, and yet thousands of dog fanciers seem not to know this. The reason is that this is an age of crazes and fads, and it matters not how homely, how stupid, or how insipid a breed of dogs may be, if its manipulators can succeed in getting it said prominently that it is the fashionable breed of the day. The devotees of fashion, the faddists, to coin a word, will rush to the new kennels in search of the new breed, pay any price that may be asked for any specimen that may or may not be able to show a pedigree, and carry it away in triumph. Some of these people heave deep-drawn sighs of relief and exultation as they drive away with their treasure in their arms, and exclaim, "How fortunate! How should I ever have survived if I had not succeeded in getting one of the first of these new pets?" The exultation is to be short-lived, however, for Madame may rest assured that next year, or the year after, or the year after that at the farthest, some new breed will be boomed and will become the craze. Then this pet that was secured at the cost of such fast driving and so large a roll of bills must be given away, and a strange idol must be erected in its place. The more practical, conservative, and level-headed people will, however, in time, come to disregard these sensational favorites, these passing crazes, and to value the brainy, silky-haired, bright-eyed, affectionate little spaniel as the most beautiful and lovable pet dog in the world. The time will come when toy spaniels will far outnumber the Italian greyhound, the poodle, the Mexican hairless, the Yorkshire, or the Skye terrier, not only in aristocratic and democratic homes, but on the show bench. The time will come when true merit and beauty will count for more than the mandates of Dame Fashion, and then the spaniel will achieve his true and proper place in the estimation of dog lovers. What can be more loved or lovable in the canine world than the richly colored and richly coated Blenheim, or the large-eyed, somber-hued King Charles? Not alone in appearance are these dogs attractive, but their intellectual qualities attract to them all who come to know them. What, say you, intellect in a dog? Ay, verily, and far more of it in some dogs than in some people whom I know. I will not here go into an argument on this point. Abler pens than mine have laid down the reasons for this faith, and to them I refer all doubters. Speaking of the intellectuality of these dogs, I cannot do better than to quote again from Idstone, who says, quote, "I have seen extraordinary instinct developed in these spaniels. One, a dog in my possession in 1838, and until his death, was, from constant association with me and my friends, almost human, and as he held his head on one side, apparently endeavoring to fathom the meaning of conversation, it seemed as though he were almost prepared to join in it. On one occasion he was sleeping in the room where a lady to whom he was much attached was moaning in pain, and, waking up, he seemed at a glance to understand the emergency, and after a moment's consideration endeavored to pull the bell, though he had never before been taught to do so. Though impatient of strangers, he would at once permit the approaches of my friends at first sight, and, more singular still, he understood and appreciated a dislike I did not venture to express, and would always dive at the legs of a couple of new college chaplains toward whom I had no cordiality. How did he know this, I wonder, or how divine that I had a sincere respect for Dr. Pusey, to whom I never spoke in my life? But such was the case, I am sure, by his manner and gestures, which, however, the sage never noticed or acknowledged." One of the greatest pleasures to be derived from the ownership of a toy spaniel is in training him to perform various tricks, to carry notes, packages, etc., to persons in various parts of the house or grounds. They take up these tricks readily, and it is intensely interesting to watch the development of intelligence in a young spaniel under patient and practical tutorship. The method of this class of training is simple, and as it has been fully treated of under the proper heads by several of the contributors to this work, I need not here go into it. Anyone who engages in it, however, must find it a delightful task, and the pet once thoroughly educated will be a source of pleasure to his owner and of wonder to others as long as he lives. The following points are observed in judging toy spaniels. The head should be domed, and in good specimens is absolutely semi-globular, sometimes even extending beyond the half circle and projecting over the eyes so as to nearly meet the upturned nose. The eyes are set wide apart, with the eyelids at right angles to the line of the face, not oblique or fox-like. The eyes themselves are large, lustrous, and very dark in color, so as to be generally considered black, the enormous pupils, which are absolutely of that color, increasing this tendency. From their large size, there is almost always a certain amount of weeping shown at the inner angles. This is owing to a defect in the lacrimal duct. The stop or hollow between the eyes is as well marked as in the bulldog, or even more so, many good specimens exhibiting a hollow deep enough to bury a small marble. The nose must be short and well turned up between the eyes, without any indication of artificial displacement afforded by a deviation to either side. The color of the end should be black, and it should be both deep and wide, with open nostrils. The lower jaw must be wide between its branches, leaving plenty of space for the tongue and for the attachment of the lower lips, which must completely conceal the teeth. It should also be turned up or finished, so as to allow of its meeting the end of the upper jaw. The ears must be long, so as to approach the ground. In an average-sized dog they should measure 20 inches from tip to tip, and in some good specimens the length reaches 22 inches. Or even a trifle more. They should be set low on the head and be heavily feathered. In this respect the King Charles is expected to exceed the Blenheim, and his ears occasionally extend to 24 inches. The most desirable size is about 10 pounds, but we often get fine specimens that weigh more than this. In compactness of shape, these spaniels nearly rival the pug, but the length of coat adds greatly to the apparent bulk, as the body, when the coat is wet, looks small in comparison to that of the pug. Still, it ought to be decidedly cobby, with strong, stout legs, broad back, and wide chest. We find many specimens weak in the loin and hind legs, but these are not good ones. The symmetry of the toy spaniels is of some importance, but it is seldom that there is any defect in this direction. The coat should be long, silky, soft, and wavy, but not curly. In the Blenheim there should be a profuse mane extending well down the front of the chest. The feathers should be well displayed on the ears and feet, where it is so long as to give the appearance of their being webbed. It is also carried well up the backs of the legs. In the King Charles, the feather on the ears is very long and profuse, exceeding in length that of the Blenheim by an inch or more. The feather on the tail, which is usually cut to the length of 3½ or 4 inches, should be silky and from 5 to 6 inches long, making a marked flag of a square shape and not carried above the level of the back. The color varies with the breed. The King Charles is a rich, glossy black and deep tan, without any white, tan spots over the eyes and on the cheeks, and tan markings on the legs. The Blenheim must on no account be whole-colored, but must have a ground of pure pearly white, with bright, rich chestnut or ruby-red markings, evenly distributed in large patches. The ears and cheeks are red, with a blaze of white extending from the nose up to the forehead and ending in a crescentive curve between the ears. In the center of the blaze there should be a clear spot of red, the size of a sixpence. The tricolor, or Charles I Spaniel, must have the tan of the King Charles, with markings like those of the Blenheim in black instead of red on a pearly white ground. The ears and under the tail must also be lined with tan. The tricolor has no spot, that mark of beauty being peculiarly the property of the Blenheim. The tricolor is now known as the Prince Charles. The red Toy Spaniels are known as the Ruby Spaniels, the points being the same as those of the King Charles, differing only in the matter of color, which should be entirely a rich chestnut or ruby red, the color of the nose to be black. Scale of points. King Charles. Symmetry, condition, and size, value 20. Head, 15. Stop, 5. Muzzle, 10. Eyes, 10. Ears, 15. Coat and feathering, 15. Color, 10. Total, 100. Blenheim. Symmetry, condition, and size, value 20. Head, 15. Stop, 5. Muzzle, 10. Eyes, 5. Ears, 10. Coat and feathering, 15. Color and markings, 15. Spot, 5. Total, 100. Among the prominent breeders of Toy Spaniels in this country may be mentioned Mr. A. W. Lucy, who has bred many good specimens. His Milwaukee Charlie, sired by imported Duke, is one of the best King Charles Spaniels ever bred in this country. Duke also sired Hylas, winner of first at Chicago, Rome, first at New York, and Prince, first at Boston. Other successful breeders are Miss Cameron, Mrs. Moody, Miss Phillips, and Mrs. Weston of New York, and Mr. F. B. Lucy and Mr. F. B. Fay of Boston, Mr. Mariner and Mr. R. W. Holmes of Milwaukee, and Mrs. L. D. McCord, No. 67, 37th Street, Chicago. One of the most successful breeders of Toy Spaniels in this country is Mrs. F. Senn of 278 West 11th Street, New York City. Her King Charles, Romeo, 9230, is a beautiful specimen. He won first in puppy class at New York, 1888, first and special at Philadelphia, 1889, and first at New York, 1890. He was whelped November 24th, 1887, and weighs 8 pounds. Her Blenheim, King Victor, imported, has won 5 first and 2 champion prizes, and has never been beaten. His weight is 12 pounds, and his color is lemon and white. He was formerly owned by Mr. William Phillips, who has probably shown more good spaniels than any other person in this country, and always winners. Among these may be named such fine specimens as the King Charles Roscius and the Blenheim King Pippin, both too well known to need any description here. This ends Section 46, the Toy Spaniels.